choice and where to go. Tune in for the infamous morning show, giving the news that you need to know. So don't you dare miss a wake-up call. Then in the evening, I got all for y'all. Get your dose of daily vitamins. You know the queen makes it make sense. So true.
Y'all caught me by surprise. I forgot I played such a short intro. So hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. Okay, listen, put a 1 in the chat if you all can hear me because I was having technical difficulties. Okay, that's why I'm late. Can you all hear me? Is the sound all right? Put a 1 in the chat if you all can hear the audio good. Okay. Okay, great. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Okay. When I was doing my little sound check, the thing seemed like it wasn't working. Okay, so with that all being said, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so listen. We're gonna have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes, and then we're gonna get into it. Now, I was gonna talk about some mysterious things tonight, but Melania has gone viral, I do believe, because she brought up the Epstein stuff out of nowhere. Like this would seem so random, and Trump is furious. Okay, so we're gonna get into it, but before we do, let's see who all is in here. All right. All right. Hey, Danielle. All right. Bub Gun is here. Reggie, Aquarius, Rising. All right. We the people. Lillian X. All right. Kawania. I think that's what it says. Chris B. Okay. Kikiana. Let's get into it. Terry Hinton is in the virtual building. All right. Annette. And shout out to all my loyal roads and everyone tuned into the Queen. I see you, Pookie. I think I saw Ashkan in here before I got started. There you go. Hey, Ashkan, Claudette. Okay, Queen of Her King. All right, so with that all being said, let's have a brief word from our sponsor. Hey, Queen Shay, Adjuel L. Okay, and listen, there's another Lego video. Okay, so y'all know we got to play it. Y'all know we have to play it. Now, with that all being said, let's have a brief word from our sponsor at 12 Tribes, and then we'll get into it. All right, here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Krabs, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it. So as I was saying, Melania gave this statement today. She came out and it seems like she's trying to distance herself from the Epstein debacle. And I don't know why, how long this has been planned or whatever, but some reports said that Trump claims he didn't know anything about it. Now, I don't know if he knew about it or not, but Some of the things she said, I'm sure he didn't like. And then here's the thing. Trump's been working hard as he could. Okay, he's been working overtime with this war to keep us distracted from the Epstein files. And then in the midst of it, she comes out and brings Epstein right back into the forefront. And then lies. Gosh. You cannot make this up, okay? I absolutely love it. Hey, Dangerous, D Major is in virtual building, Starseed. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, Shawshana is here for the mess. Okay, and so that all being said, let's go to this Lego video first. Okay, I am done. Okay, first we're gonna play the list, the one about Epstein, and then I'm gonna play the new one after that. Let's get it.
Yep. They found a little black book. Take a look, don't overlook. Trump allegedly on page 4008. Just coffee, yeah, that checks out great. Allegedly 40 visits to the island of fun. Never been there, oops, flight logs one. Photos allegedly fake, memories allegedly gone. Justice, allegedly sleeping case, allegedly moved on. Epstein, nice guy like some young. Said the man with the orange tongue now is crying witch hunt and fake. While the evidence allegedly burns for his sake. The list, the VIP list. Powerful men who allegedly don't exist. Your president, your hero, your star, allegedly caught on camera from afar. 40 times, coffee boy sure. The island allegedly loved him, that much is pure. Epstein's dead, secrets in the ground. But the photos Donald allegedly still go around. Allegedly.
Hey, Orange Pig, America first? Oops. Oh boy, that was the slogan you stole. But Bibi's pulling strings and your vote is getting cold. We're not just fighting for Iran, hear this clear. Your people's reached out to us. Yeah, we got the DMs here. If one nation's gonna stand against the Epstein regime's fear, it's us till the last breath. We've been doing it for years. We're standing here for everyone. Your system ever wrong, they've known all along. The enemy was always you. The real threat wore a suit and sung a patriotic song while selling their own citizens and calling it strong. Stealing from your own people, making them bleed, taking tax dollars just to fund your own greed. Ain't waking up to the lies, the illusions of burst. You screamed America first, now you put losers first. Make Israel great again. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you all. We saw everything. If the public ever saw the files, man, the planet would shake from the level of filth and the crimes in your wake. No wonder Jeff called you the worst, you degenerate snake. You claimed you never set foot. You went 40 plus times. You sick bastard, you cook. We stepping up to the plate. Epstein regime gotta fall. You fake Christian elite sacrificing the ball. Demon, you talk real big for a man with tiny hands. Tiny hands, tiny things, tiny everything. We saw everything, and word got out. The smallness kinda expands. No wonder all those rage tweets, all those desperate rants. Overcompensating bully, always causing a scene. You said you love losers. Well, look at your team. Your government is run by. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you all.
Okay, that was absolutely chef's kiss. Mwah. Okay, please pay attention. They will not stop going in on Trump, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, you know what's funny about the whole thing? So someone posted on Twitter. Now, think about what they were saying in the song, right? And so this was posted to Twitter 22 hours ago, and I just saw it like a couple of hours ago and retweeted it. Let me show you. Okay, if you all can see that, hold on. If you all can see that, it says Satan Yahoo is calling on Americans to fight for is not real and start a war for the sake of the used. He says the Bible says there is a time for peace and a time for war. This is a time for war. Satan Yahoo, get out of here with your BS. Do y'all hear this, man? First of all, it's always a time for war for him. As far as he's concerned, there's always time for a war. Okay, I'm sorry. Please sit down somewhere at this point. Okay. Now let's get into Melania. Poor thing. I don't know what's going on here, but I want you all to pay attention because what she said, hold on, hold on. Did Trump tick her off? Do you all think that Trump ticked her off and maybe threatened her or something? Because why would she just randomly come out? Was this, hold on, let me just do a check real quick and see if this was something that was planned. Hold on. Okay. And they said Trump was so mad. Okay, let's go to this news clip right here. But they said Trump was livid. Okay. I think one of the reporters said they had called him or something and asked him about it, and he was mad. He said he was in a war meeting, and then he said that he said that she didn't know him. She didn't know him. I'm sorry, but we have proof that she absolutely did. Not just the pictures either. Okay, not just those pictures. Y'all know I went looking for receipts, right? Now, here's the thing. You know, when I was showing you all of those nefarious Epstein files for weeks, I was doing stories on the Epstein files, and I had so many of the juiciest files, right? Something told me to save those files, and I'm glad that I did because at the end of the day, they are deleting some of those files or have deleted, according to sources on TikTok. Glad I still have mine, but let's go to this news report because this says Trump says he asked Netanyahu to scale back and inside Melania's unexpected, so it wasn't planned, unexpected statement denying Epstein ties. I think Trump ticked her off this morning and Melania said, you know what? I got you. I got you. Okay, Taco, you're going down. Let's get to it. Because why would she ever just come out of the blue and start talking about this when everybody was already looking over there? Here we go.
Not too long ago, today, Ed, did something that was unexpected. She talked about Jeffrey Epstein and herself, and I want to play for the audience what she said, and then I want to have you let me know what you know about it on the other side.
The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation.
Now, Ed, I miss many things in a given news day, but I don't recall and I don't remember seeing a lot of chatter about the First Lady and Jeffrey Epstein.
No, Major. In fact, we got word of this last night that she was planning on saying something today. Initially around here, it was thought that this had to do with her ongoing push to reunite Ukrainian children with their families after they'd been kidnapped from Russia. But then indications came to the CBS News pool producers who were shooting this event on behalf of all the television networks that this was going to get a little more personal, perhaps, than previous public statements she'd made on that issue of missing Ukrainian orphans. That got everyone's attention because when they said it could be a personal matter, you know, the thought was, does this have something to do with her health? Does it have something to do with the president? Is it some other project she's taking on? We weren't sure. She comes out and just immediately launches into this denunciation of rumors about any associations with Jeffrey Epstein. Everyone, where on earth did this come from? There doesn't appear, so far at least, to have been any kind of report coming or book in the works or some other documentary that would try to connect dots. There appears to be only just one email between Melania Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell several years ago in the Epstein files that signals in its wording, at least, a chubbiness there, a familiarity with each other. But as she explained today, look, if you're in social circles in New York and Palm Beach and you're Donald and Melania Trump, you're going to run into Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell back in the early 2000s, the late 1990s, as they did. But she said any suggestion that I had anything to do with his child, with his sex trafficking ring, or any of the other allegations that I had a relationship with Epstein are false. And this was the kicker to me, Major. She called on the Republican-controlled Congress to keep this issue up, to keep going, to hold hearings on Epstein and allow the victims to speak out. Well, who's been asking for that but the victims, Democrats, and a handful of Republicans who are already in trouble with this White House on other matters, and in trouble because they keep bringing up the Epstein affair. Now they've got one of the biggest advocates of all, the First Lady, and it's causing headaches in the West Wing we're still accounting for.
Ed O'Keefe,
Let me
great
tell
stuff
y'all
as always.
Let me tell y'all something. Someone needs to call the White House right now and check on Melania. Because I know Trump is mad as hell. I'm telling you, the way they said he was talking on that phone, and they were being polite about it, because I know darn well he was yelling, cursing on a whole rant, probably making threats. Y'all know how he gets. And the fact that she said they need to keep the case open and bring up the victims to speak and all that. Now, you know Trump already said this was a hoax. Trump told us this wasn't even real. There's nothing to see here. It's a Democrat hoax. Now she's going to say all of this. I bet Trump is so mad. You know, if I see anything looking suspicious about Melania, we're going to all know why. We're going to all know why. Reggie says, you know, his wives aren't safe around him, allegedly. Right. Okay. That one that supposedly fell down the stairs to her death. Okay. I find that all interesting, Donald Trump. But hold on. Let's go to this so we can hear what she had to say. I haven't listened to this whole thing. I just saw it and I was like, oh, honey, I'm talking about this tonight. Okay. So let's get into it. It's all nefarious. And I know I saw everybody on TikTok say that she was straight up lying. Because clearly she knew Jeffrey Epstein.
I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
Why did she say exactly what Bill Clinton said? I absolutely cannot. Hold on, let me go to the whole video. Yeah, no, here's the thing though. But like the reporters said, I haven't really heard a lot of people going in on Melania. I mean, some of us said that we think that she knew, you know, who Epstein was and what he was doing possibly. I definitely think she knew what was going on. I'm sorry. How could you not? But at the end of the day, nobody was really talking about her. Everybody was more focused on Trump. So I just don't understand why she would do this. Okay, unless Trump ticked her off last night. And then she made that phone call and said, y'all know what? I got something to say tomorrow. I have a special announcement to make. And they're like, Melania, what is it? Don't worry. I'm going to lay it all on the line tomorrow. Oh, my goodness. Trump, what have you done? What have you done, Trump, you low down dirty? You know what this reminds me of, you all, before I start this? You know what this reminds me of, to be honest? You all remember that movie? I think Johnny Depp played the main character, but that true story called Blow. Y'all remember that movie Blow about the guy who was the kingpin? I think it was a kingpin. He was selling that white stuff. Okay, so remember the part where he was in the car with Penelope Cruz? I think that was his wife. He was in the car with her, and the cops got behind him, and she was mad at him because he was yelling at her or hit her or something. And she told the cops that he had that Coca-Cola in the trunk, and they found it, and he went to prison. That's what this is. I'm telling y'all right now, that's what this is. Because why would she say keep it open? They need to keep the case open. Something's going on at the White House. Let's get into it.
The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation. I never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be.
Now, whoever posted this, clearly, if you notice, they keep showing receipts to prove she's lying. Okay, they posted the picture of her, Ghislaine, Epstein, and Trump, and then they were at a party, and then they posted the thing from Trump where he said he knew Epstein or was friends with him for 15 years or whatever. Okay, so now here's the email that she sent to Ghislaine Maxwell. I was going to show you all, but good, it's already on here. It says, Dear G, that would be Ghislaine. Okay, this was October 23rd of 2002. It says, Dear G, how are you? Nice story about J.E., which is Jeffrey Epstein, in New York Magazine. You look great on the picture. I know you are very busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you are back in New York. Have a great time. Love, Melania. Girl, if you're sending her an email telling her how her and Jeffrey looked on the magazine and all of that, and you can't wait to go down or come down or whatever, you know these people. Like, why would you even go there? Okay. Now, the email wasn't anything nefarious, but it does mean that you knew them. Okay, because I'm sorry, I'm not sending emails to people that I don't know like that I don't really talk to. Okay, and neither is anybody else unless it's about business.
Categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note. I am not Epstein's victim. The lies linking me.
She says she's not Epstein's victim. We know you're not a victim, but you know what's interesting? Previously, people have reported, now I can't say if it's true or not, but do you all remember me giving you all the receipts that there were stories reporting that Melania was introduced to Donald Trump by Epstein? Do y'all remember that, right? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Wasn't there stories being reported by the lamestream where they were saying that Epstein introduced Melania to Trump? Okay. She just should not have said anything. She's going to lie. Because now we're all looking at her with a whole side eye. At least I know I am. Okay. Dorana said, you remember. Okay, yeah, it was all in articles. Now let's go to this report because this is when you know Trump was ticked off. Trump loses it on call as Melania Epstein bombshell ruins term.
A quick call before we went to air with President Trump, who said he was in the middle of a war meeting and that he couldn't talk for very long and had to go, but that actually he had no prior knowledge to the topic that Melania Trump, his wife, was going to be touching upon today in his statement. In her statement, he then repeated that he had to go. But before we hung up the phone, he said that she didn't know him, presumably referring to Jeffrey Epstein.
So to be clear, on that call, in which I am sure Donald Trump was a little more than just a bit angry, he said he did not know what Melania was going to do. He hung up and said that she didn't know Epstein, clearly losing it, clearly melting down. I wouldn't be surprised if he was yelling. Melania did know Epstein. Melania admitted to knowing Epstein. Melania went up on stage in front of the world and said, yes, I knew Ghislaine. I went to parties with Epstein. Donald took me to them. Notably, she said, Donald, my husband, brought me to these parties, directly throwing him under the bus. But it is impossible to say. It is just a complete lie. I know we're dealing with Donald Trump here, but it is a blatant lie that runs counter to the very basis of the press conference that Melania Trump never knew Jeffrey Epstein. Now, she can claim that she didn't know him well. That's also not true. She knew him well. She sung his praises to his partner. But Donald Trump can't say it's just a lie. Clearly, he is melting down. Clearly, he is spiraling. Donald Trump is furious on the phone, and he hung up. I'm guessing not because he was in a war meeting. If he was, he probably wouldn't be taking calls, but because he
Right.
has to go figure this out. Melania Trump does not even do appearances with Donald. Like they do not hang out. They do not spend time together. This is not a loving couple. For her to
Mhm.
go out and do that, it is just the biggest backstab that we have ever seen, especially because it's just going to mean that we're going to continue to talk about this all, especially how Melania should testify, which is what this congressman.
A very
This is all interesting. Now, with that all being said, here's the thing. Ashkan said maybe she's a secret hero. Maybe he was about to drop the bomb. You know, that could be something. That's a good point. But here's the scary thing. Her coming out and drawing attention back to Epstein, as stupid as Trump is, that would make him want to do something drastic to take our minds off of it. So I don't know if that would be a good idea. But I just find this interesting. I need to get to the motive behind this. And also, it's hours ago, it's been reported by CNN News 18 that Trump asked Satan Yahoo to scale back Lebanon strikes. I'm going to get to that in a second, but let's go to this report by David Pakman. I don't know what's going on. That guy said the biggest backstab, okay? And then Trump said he didn't know what she was supposed to speak about. This is very interesting. Now, I wonder if the fact that she's supposed to be doing charitable work with like orphans or something like that, if maybe she felt the need to come out and try to clear herself because she didn't want people thinking that she shouldn't be around children. Does that sound plausible to you all? Because they did say that she's supposed to be doing charitable work with an orphanage. So maybe that's why she felt like she had to say something. I don't know. At the end of the day, this is all just bad for Donald Trump, and I love it. But let's continue.
Trump stroking out on Truth Social after an embarrassing meltdown and after his supposed big victorious big boy ceasefire with Iran has completely failed. After Trump's meeting with Mark Rutte, posting NATO wasn't there when we needed them and they won't be there if we need them again. Remember Greenland, that big, poorly run piece of ice. There are two stories here. Number one, Trump doesn't understand how NATO works. NATO, under Article 5, requires member nations to come to the defense of other member nations if they are attacked. This would be, for example, if Putin attacks the UK, the US, under Article 5, must come to the shared defense of the UK. Cool. Trump tried to use Article 5 to force NATO nations to get involved in Trump's war against Iran in the Strait of Hormuz to reopen it. Trump's argument being his choice to attack Iran, the subsequent closure of the Strait of Hormuz, is a form of a NATO ally being attacked, and therefore they must come to the defense of the United States. It's just not what it is. It doesn't work that way. And Trump is furious. That's story number one. He misunderstands NATO. Number two, there's this broader disrespect for institutions. And my view as a left-wing social democrat is that, especially as societies grow, we need institutions as mediators to achieve a lot of what we want to achieve as societies. And this whole go it alone thing, we won't be part of the WHO, we won't be part of NATO, we won't be part of this or that, and sort of isolating in that way is exactly the wrong direction, especially since, we sometimes have a map in our minds where the borders between countries are like the borders we see when we look at Google Maps. These are lines, and on one side of the line, it's one thing, on the other side of the line, it's another thing. The reality is that a lot of the modern problems humans are dealing with, including things like pollution, globalization, global economies, they don't respect those lines on the map. And the idea that we are just going to completely do everything by ourselves is completely unrealistic. And so this is a bigger problem with MAGA politics as well, which is a lack of respect or even
All right, so that all been said, let's go to this one. It says Melania just recorded a statement denying Epstein ties. So what's coming out? Now, this guy thinks that she's trying to get ahead of something. He says that something must be happening or coming out for her to just come out and say that out of the clear blue. I just find it interesting, but she does have this, let me tell you all what she's doing. She has, as of 2026, First Lady Melania Trump is actively working to support foster children and youth through her initiative called Fostering the Future. The initiative is part of her broader Be Best campaign, and it focuses on securing educational scholarships, career opportunities, and economic empowerment of children within the foster care system. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all do know, and you should, because I told you, you all do know that the foster care system, CPS, these have a lot to do with the trafficking of children. So I think that's why she came out and made this. I think that's what it is, because they've been talking about her initiative and this charity for like at least the past month. I've heard it mentioned several times. So I think that maybe she wanted to just come out and try to clear herself so people don't say anything. Like, you know, the stuff they were saying about Erica Kirk with that Romanian Angels charity, and they said she got kicked out of Romania. Now I can't substantiate that because clearly she doesn't admit to it, but that is what some people have said, that they got kicked out of there and that she had something to do with some trafficking, allegedly. So maybe that's it. I don't know. This is all very interesting. Now, Ashkan asked, where is she from? Is she Romanian? No, she's Slovenian. That's what she is. Now, let's hear what this guy's talking about.
Trump, the First Lady of the United States, just went and recorded an official statement at the White House claiming she had no connection to Jeffrey Epstein, didn't know any of his crimes. And this is a very weird thing to do just out of nowhere. So there's probably a story that's about to come out, and it probably won't be very good. I don't know if it's a book. I don't know what it's going to be, but this is very just odd, okay? And her statements, not really true either. There's plenty of evidence out there that she knew Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein way back into the early 2000s, including this email right here. So we'll see what happens. This is intensely weird. And just think about, we are in a country where the worst pedophile in modern history, the worst child sex trafficker in modern history is someone that the First Lady has to talk about at the White House. Unreal. Melania.
Absolutely. Just think about that. What kind of world are we living in, beloveds? But let's continue.
The First Lady, Melania Trump, came out today and had a press conference. Said she never had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Said she met him at some parties when Donald and her were attending, and she has never been to Epstein Island. But more importantly, it's what she said after that. She said that Congress should have hearings for the survivors. Now, if you've been following for the last year, Donald Trump has been talking about how the Epstein files should just go away. They're not important. There's nothing to see. He has never had anything to do with Epstein. He kicked him out of his club. And that it was a hoax. Remember that. It's all a hoax. But yet his wife came out today and felt the need to talk to the American people and express her desire to see these survivors come out in a public hearing in Congress and tell their story. So the president says it's a hoax, and Melania says that they should have their moment. So I think she basically turned this thing right on its head. In my opinion, she threw her husband under the bus.
I think she threw him under the bus too, and I would love to know why, but I'm glad she did. Ooh, honey, if anybody can get Trump, it's Melania. She knows where all the bones are buried. Now, if all of a sudden something happens to Melania, we'll all know why. Please pay attention. Now, let me go to this next video. This is all interesting to me. Like, this literally was out of nowhere. Okay? Out of nowhere.
It's been clear that Donald Trump has lost his mind. He's threatening to commit war crimes against Iran that could kill millions of innocent civilians. Congress must wake up. Impeach, convict, remove him from office. If they don't, members of the military must obey their constitutional duty and reject unlawful orders. Look, no civilized nation threatens to wipe out another civilization. No people, through their head of state, threatens to exterminate another people. No human being vested with official power by human beings threatens to wipe out another part of humanity. Whether we call ourselves Democrats or Republicans, whether we are in the military or are civilians, whether or not we hold public office, whether we like Donald Trump or we detest him, we must not remain silent. It's our responsibility as citizens of this nation and this world to say unambiguously that what Donald Trump is now threatening is truly evil. It's our responsibility to call on Congress, the military, and any sane individual in this administration to stop Trump from unleashing carnage in Iran. It's our responsibility to call on all other Americans in whatever capacity to stand up against this despotic act of pure immorality. Right. Phone, shout, march. This must be stopped. And if it's not, we must stand ready to hold those responsible legally accountable for their crime.
When the time comes, yeah, we absolutely do. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Did y'all hear any rumors about Trump being dead? I didn't hear anything about that. They said there were rumors about Trump possibly being dead, and that's why he's been doing all of these appearances lately. I hadn't heard any rumors about that. Had anybody else once in the chat? If you had, let me know, because I hadn't heard a single thing. Here's Hakeem Jeffries.
Has failed America, failed the NATO alliance, and failed the free world. And he seems to confuse friend with foe. And the fact that Vice President Vance is over in Eastern Europe right now supporting an authoritarian dictator is extraordinary. The fact that Donald Trump and Republicans continue to play footsie with Vladimir Putin and Russia, sworn enemies of the United States of America, is extraordinary. And the fact that Donald Trump continues to attack our allies, whether it's Canada, Mexico, or NATO, is extraordinary. Something is really wrong with this guy. And that's becoming increasingly obvious to the American people. NATO is the most successful military and diplomatic alliance in the history of the world. No one reasonable disputes that. It was put together in the aftermath of World War II to prevent the type of devastating global world war that resulted in more than 100 million people losing their lives. And it's been successful. In fact, in terms of the NATO alliance, the collective defense provision, Article 5, an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. That collective defense provision has only been invoked once in the history of the NATO alliance. That was in defense of the United States of America in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks. And more than 1,000 NATO troops either lost their lives or were seriously injured fighting for us in Afghanistan. Donald Trump doesn't know what the hell he's talking about when he says that the relationship with NATO has been only one way. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And so it's going to be important as we move forward, particularly as we transition into the next Congress with the gavels in our hands, to make clear to NATO and all of our allies across the world that we're going to repair the damage that has been done, and all of us see the value for the American people in continuing to protect and strengthen the NATO alliance.
Hakeem, shut up, because what you need to do, sir, is you need to return all of that AIPAC money. Okay, that's what you need to do. Please sit down somewhere. Okay. Sit down somewhere. Now let's go to this next video. This man upset because of Trump's vulgar and profane language that he chose to use on Easter.
On one of the what in the fuck would make a president wake up on one of the holiest days in Christianity and start spewing explicit threats and calling for the destruction of another country? This is not just shocking, it is absolutely insane. And it sounds like there is no room left for diplomacy at all. And what makes it even more worse is the timing. Because this is Easter Sunday, a day meant for peace and reflection for his own Christian base. And there is no acknowledgement of that at all. And moments like this only adds fuel to the growing claim of cognitive decline and serious questions about his judgment. Because let's be real, if Biden, Bush, or especially Obama had done this on Easter Sunday, there would be immediate calls for impeachment, questions about their ability to lead, and serious talks of invoking the 25th Amendment. But right now, this is happening in real time. And the question is how far it goes from here.
Okay, I mean, absolutely appalling. And then threatening the Pope. Okay, that's where I draw the line, people. Okay, threatening poor Pope Leo. And now Pope Leo doesn't even want to come to the U.S. He's canceled any of his trips that he had planned to come here because he thinks he's probably concerned that Trump and his goons may have something done to him. And the Vatican is ticked off, okay? The Vatican is ticked off. I mean, that was a bold move for them threatening the Pope, honey, okay? Talking about we're the United States. We have such a good military. We can go in a mighty military. We can go anywhere and do anything we want. Okay. Keep that same energy when North Korea shows up with one of those bombs. All right?
Has ever publicly posted and talked in the sorts of crude and perverse language that this president uses. It's a function of one undeniable reality, that the ultimate decision maker, the ultimate strategist, is a man who has no sense of moral self-governance and who is driven largely by power, money, and glory. And now by rage, I think, that he is caught in a set of circumstances that he cannot find a way out of.
But he's threatened this almighty escalation, some people may say, potential war crimes, by Tuesday, if he doesn't get his way. Is this deadline real this time?
What you'd have to see on Tuesday is a degree of American military power deployed that normal humans, let's say in this case you and I, would regard as a major escalation. In other words, a degree of strikes that are unprecedented in 5 weeks. Now, I would not rule out that they have identified more civilian infrastructure at all, because the regime doesn't care about public opinion unless it's being threatened and demonstrated against, which it is not. So the regime is prepared to absorb any number of strikes. No president.
Okay, I mean, Trump's just clearly lost it. And he's out here threatening people. What I want you all to pay attention to is remember how I told you all that Trump was threatening. Now they say he's threatening a CNN journalist. But if you all remember, I told you all a couple of days ago that he was threatening to arrest or have arrested whoever the journalist was that reported something about that fake rescue mission. Now we see why he was so mad, okay? Because first of all, Trump, there was no rescue mission. Now we have the receipts that they made it all up. For any of you that missed the broadcast this morning, please tune into that. Go back and watch at your leisure because Trump literally made it all up, okay? Straight from the script, all right? From that movie, Saving Private Ryan. Okay, they should have called it, the mission should have been called Saving Pilot Ryan, because this was all a hoax. Now, Trump's talking about a hoax. That was a hoax. They went there to steal and got busted because Iran was laying there waiting for them. I'm never getting over this. Okay, I'm never letting this die down, honey. And Abbas Arakti told them we will be waiting for them. They were. I love it. I absolutely love it. This is all crazy. Ashkan said, I pray he doesn't threaten me. It's a long shot, but bullies in the grave tried it. I am so through. Okay. Oh my goodness. Trump is such a liar. I mean, they literally made up that whole story. Mm, mm, mm. Absolutely egregious. Now, with this post right here says Trump threatens to jail journalists who reported on his Iran deal. Let's get into it. He said that CNN's lying on him and they knew they were lying. That's what he said. Anytime you report something contrary to what he wants out there, he'll just call you a lie and threaten to have you arrested.
Is now threatening to jail journalists who reported the truth about his Iran deal. Yesterday, CNN published a statement from Iran's National Security Council where they were celebrating the Iran deal that Trump struck with them. They viewed it as a victory for them, a loss for the United States. And so Trump, for some reason, claimed that the statement was fake and that CNN knew it. He said the alleged statement put out by CNN World News is a fraud, and CNN knows that. The false statement was linked to a website from Nigeria and, of course, immediately picked up on by CNN and blared out as legitimate. The official statement by Iran was released. Authorities are looking to determine whether or not a crime was committed on the issuance of the fake CNN statement, or was it a rogue player. CNN is being ordered to immediately withdraw the statement, and full apologies for their, as usual, terrible reporting. Results of the investigation will be announced in the near future. And this is the statement from Iran. You can pause to read if you like, that Donald Trump thinks is fake. And CNN talked about this on air. The problem for Donald Trump, though, is that the statement is real. CNN got it from Iranian state media and sources they.
Didn't I tell y'all that yesterday? Didn't I tell y'all that yesterday? I said Trump's trying to sit there and pretend that he didn't sign, that the statement that was put out with the 10 steps that they wanted guaranteed before having the ceasefire agreement, that he was saying that the one that was put out publicly is not the same one that he agreed to. It's not the same one he had. I said, well, why doesn't he show us the one that he had? And I said, you know, he's lying because they already got it straight from Iran. Okay? He was trying to say that somebody made a social media post and all this. And I'm like, no. I heard the reporters say, and I think it was Sky News Australia, but one of those reporters said they got it from Iran themselves. Okay? So he's lying. He knows darn well he agreed to it. And now he just is looking real stupid because Iran didn't really promise him anything except to open the strait.
Have inside the Iranian government. They put out a statement confirming this. It was also confirmed to be authentic by journalist Yashar Ali, who pointed out to Donald Trump, who I don't think knows this, that statement was from the Islamic Republic's Supreme National Security Council. The statement he posted online was from Iran's foreign minister. Two different things. So there you have it. Trump threatening to jail journalists, because that's definitely something someone does when they're confident in their deal.
Just lying to be lying. I don't know what to even say. Okay, now they say Satan Yahoo is on the run, honey. Said Satan Yahoo is very worried at this point.
Yahoo and Donald Trump have rushed into war in Iran because both of them are running out of time. Marco Rubio admitted that the Israelis told the Americans, we're going in whether you go in or not. And why did Netanyahu have to play that card? Because he knows the midterms are coming, and he knows that this is the first election in which candidates in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party will be judged on whether or not they took AIPAC money. That, coupled with our growing awareness that the entire Epstein operation was done on behalf of Israeli intelligence in order to get power and control over American political leaders and corporate leaders. Benjamin Netanyahu knows that Americans are angry at what Israel did in Gaza, which is a massive ongoing genocide. Now Netanyahu's rushing into southern Lebanon to do the same. This is a power grab and a land grab by a man who knows that if he fails to remain in office, he will face criminal prosecutions. Trump's up against the same math, and Republicans are retiring in huge numbers because they know that the American people are deeply angry about ICE, about tariffs, about Trump selling pardons, about crypto scams, about tax cuts for billionaires, about the increasing cost of groceries. And now we find ourselves in a war in Iran that looks exactly like the war in Iraq, poorly planned with no exit strategy, exactly the kind of neocon lunacy that Donald Trump ran on not doing. And now he's doing it because, like everything else he ran on, he lied. Benjamin Netanyahu knows he's out of time. He knows that American voters are fully awake and aware about the two-pronged assault our democracy has been under by Israeli intelligence operations. The AIPAC money flooding our congressional races for both Democrats and Republicans, and the ongoing Jeffrey Epstein operation, which for decades has been blackmailing our congressional and corporate leaders. So here we are, facing a potential world war because two corrupt, genocidal old men are afraid they might soon have to face justice.
Not genocidal old men. Let's hear what Keg's Breath has to say. Here comes the lies. I want y'all to pay attention to the word salad. That's all he ever spews to me.
Of our fallen, your sacrifice was in service of a historic cause, and we will always remember your heroes, our heroes. We will continue to honor them. And to our Israeli allies, thank you for being a brave, capable, and willing ally on this battlefield. The rest of the world and the rest of our so-called allies saw what real capabilities look like. They should take some notes. Our troops, our American warriors, deserve the credit for this day. But God deserves all the glory. Tens of thousands of sorties.
He is giving more praise to Israel that got us into this war. The Israeli government got us into this war, and he is praising them more than he is dead Americans. That is disgusting, but that is this administration, and that is who they work for, and that is who they ultimately serve. So it should come as no surprise that Pete Hegseth is more worried about Israel, which is funny considering that Iran continues to strike Israel and has all morning, which is why when Pete Hegseth was asked about a ceasefire that's not really even a ceasefire at this point yet, a deal that Donald Trump hasn't technically gotten done, he just attacked the reporter who asked the question.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary and General Kane. Mary Margaret with the Daily Wire. 2 questions. Iran has said that safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible in coordination with Iran's armed forces and, quote, technical limitations. What do you believe that means? And then we've also heard reports that Iran has continued striking targets well into this morning. At what point are we beyond a grace period? Are we giving them a grace period? Is there a miscommunication there? What's going on with that?
What we know is that Iran is going to say a lot of things. A lot of people are going to say a lot of things, claim a lot of things. What has been agreed to, what's been stated is the strait is open. Our military is watching. Sure, their military is watching, but commerce will flow. And that's what you saw the markets react to, is that reality. As far as shooting that, we were monitoring it last night in real time. Of course we are. Iran would be wise to find a way to get the carrier pigeon to their troops out in remote locations to know not to shoot any longer one-way attacks or missiles, because this takes time sometimes for ceasefires to take hold. We're watching it. We're prepared if necessary, but we hope and believe that it'll hold. Yes.
Thank you, Secretary.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Okay, just the lies. So y'all hear him? And that's the most he could say to the parents or the families of those soldiers that died. Okay, but let's go to these dead rumors that Trump was talking about. Hold on. Okay, here we go.
Donald Trump was so threatened by rumors spreading online that he was dead, and his White House was covering it, false rumors, of course, that he is doubling down on his public appearances and spending as much time as possible in front of the cameras and in front of a microphone. And even though that extended period of time means that we get a closer glimpse of how unwell this man is, it's important to witness just how unwell he is and just how complicit every single person in his administration is in propping this fascist up with every word of praise, every pledge of fealty. Let's start with his press conference about his war in Iran. And let's start with how Trump casually floats taking out Iran in one night.
The entire country can be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night.
I mean, truly, a villain. Does he think that he sounds tough? Does he think that he sounds like a strategic player, that he sounds like he has the upper hand simply because he threatens to eliminate a country in a single night? The same country he keeps claiming, by the way, is filled with Iranians that he wants to protect. In one breath, he says, this is about protecting Iranians. And then the next, he says he is taking out the country probably tomorrow night, speaking so flippantly that he could be talking about making a dinner reservation.
That's how you know he's full of crap, because if he cared about those people, he would not have called them animals, okay? And then talking about taking all of them and bombing them back to the Stone Age. Oh, so crazy. Okay, let's go to this report where this guy, I think he's talking to a MAGA minion who called into the show or whatever. Let me put an overlay on here just in case he's on YouTube. I got this off of TikTok. Let me see here. Okay.
Or however you pronounce it, but they announced a ceasefire. Unfortunately, Israel did strike Lebanon, but besides that, the war is almost over.
So what did you achieve by doing this?
Right. So safety of the future, no nukes. We overthrew the regime. Gas prices are going to come down in the long run. So
first off, how did you overthrow the regime, and how did you get rid of nukes? I don't understand what you're talking about.
Oh, the guy Beedra is up here. Your complaint is that we wasted too much money. Is that what you want to talk about?
My complaint is the fact that you guys have a situation now where you're allowing $2 million per ship in tolls plus $1 per barrel to flow to the pockets of the Iranian regime that is still very much in place. That's my issue.
Right, and that's a problem. But like I said, it's almost over. The war is basically almost over.
Yeah, so now the Iranian regime is going to pocket billions upon billions of dollars, trillions of dollars as a result of this, and no sanctions, and they get to keep their nuclear program. Saw Trump get fleeced. I mean, we've never seen a president get absolutely bent over and fleeced the way that this guy has gotten.
So what does Isaiah Martin have to say to the people celebrating in Iran, the people celebrating happy that they're free?
You don't have anything to say. You have no response to what I just said.
No, I do, but I want you to answer my question.
No, you're not going to pivot.
Wow.
Now, isn't this what I told you all? People always do when they're having a debate or a discussion where they cannot debunk or they just can't answer logically so that it makes sense what the other person is asking. Now they want to ask you a question. It's the same old tactic.
Okay, wow.
I want you to give me an answer for, do you have any response to trillions of dollars flowing to the pockets of the Iranian regime as a result of Trump?
You're trying to put me in a corner. I'm not stupid.
Why don't you give me an answer?
I've watched you debate. You put people in corners.
Give me an answer.
I can't fully justify it, but I understand why it happened. I understand why.
Why did it happen? Why did it happen?
Just to be clear, what were you saying when Biden and Kamala were
No. Don't dream shake out of this. You can't. You're stuck.
Dude, I've watched you debate. I know this is what you do. This is your thing. This is your gimmick.
It's called winning debates.
So what did you have to say when Biden and Kamala
you
were...
Don't dream shake like Elijah won in the summit. You can't do it. He's stuck.
You guys, how did you feel when Biden and Kamala were wasting?
This is, and for everybody, this guy is not only getting clipped, but I want to speak to you guys directly. This is what a sheep looks like when you have no ideas, no principles, no objective, and no original thoughts, just sitting around and barking like a seal for a failed, dilapidated president that got bent over by Iran and absolutely violated.
Well, it made him look bad, but you know what? Listen. Okay, we're about to get into this. Hold on. Get into some other stuff real quick, but listen. I think this could be the reason. This might be the reason Melania came out and said something about that Epstein stuff. This guy right here. I saw this video today, and I've showed you all this guy before. He was going on a whole rant about the Epstein files and how nobody was mad enough. And I agree with him. I still agree with him. Nobody seems to be mad enough. But here's the thing.
Where's the blacks at? Where's the Mexicans at? Where's the whites at? Where's the Christians at? Where's all the gangs at? Where is all the bikers at? Where is we the people at? Where is don't tread on me guys at? Listen to me close, everybody. I'm somebody that has been through these files. I have a team, and I connected with 450 other teams. When those files got released, we went to town. I have drank 40 something of these to get through it, 17 hours a day with 4 hours of sleep for 1 month. We had a group of totaled about 10,000 people, because it would take you 17 years by yourself, 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, we broke it down in sections. And let me tell y'all something. They're eating our children in every state. This thing is huge. The sex trafficking ring is ridiculous. They try and target our children 10 years or younger. It's symbolic. They send them off to people. They do a lot of horrific things. I have literally, going through this, I have shit myself, thrown up on myself, and pissed on myself, if you know what I'm talking about. I have connected the dots for years. Because you know what? Do you really trust the government, everybody?
Okay, so with that all being said, I'm going to move on because this video is a little lengthy, but he's very upset about it. Melania probably saw that video and wanted to do something to come and speak out to make sure that when people start acting crazy, she's not a part of it. Of course, I'm being facetious. But here's the thing. When he was calling everybody out, why did he call the black people out first? Why did he call the black people out first? Where's the blacks? Did y'all hear it? Reggie said Queen has reported on this weeks ago. Thanks, Queen. You're welcome. They are eating the children. It's all in the files. Eating the milk out of their intestines, using it for cream cheese and all kind of sick stuff. These people are sick. Okay, absolutely nefarious. And something really needs to be done. I'm really upset about it. But I'm going to tell you all something. Before we get into the strange stuff that I want to talk about, I have a sad story that really upset me when I heard it today. I really, really am still upset about it. So, and this makes me even hate Satan Yahoo even more. Okay, as if he hasn't done enough already. So, do you all know that I show you all media, from different foreign outlets, okay, international outlets, other than the lamestream media here. And one of the main ones that I like to show you all is Al Jazeera. As a matter of fact, I just used their video yesterday or the day before when we talked about the USS Liberty. They're the ones who did the documentary on that story. They did that documentary 11 years ago, and I showed you all some clips from that along with other videos and information. And so sadly to say, one of their journalists died over in Gaza, struck by the It's Not Reals. Okay, and I'm very hurt by this. I literally was just watching him a few days ago, and it's really sad. Okay, his name is Mohammed Wisha, and they killed him on purpose. They say that he was targeted. It was no accident, and then they lied and said that he was linked to Hamas. So I want you to understand that not only are they trying to stop people from speaking on the heinousness of their crimes by labeling people as anti-Semitic, but also Satan Yahoo's not only doing that, but Satan Yahoo, they're also targeting these journalists. If you all remember, I showed you a video from the UK where Al Jazeera was there, and a bunch of Satan Yahoo's people were lying on them to the police, saying that, oh, our lives are threatened. They're threatening our lives. We don't feel safe. They were not bothering them. They were the ones, in fact, bothering Al Jazeera's journalists. Okay, and wanted the police to force them to leave. And so that just should tell us all that there are very credible and brave journalists. This man was an investigative journalist. He went over there risking his life because it's a very dangerous place to be. But the fact that he was specifically targeted, that really ticked me off. Okay, but anyway, let's go to the footage. Likes up, everyone, please. A like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Today we're not just covering a story, we're walking in it. What you see here is a funeral procession of our colleague from Al Jazeera, Mubashir, who was killed in a drone strike that targeted his vehicle as of yesterday, later in the evening time, on his way to work alongside the coastal road of Western Gaza City. What we're looking at here, another journalist that's being killed, another voice that being silenced by the Israeli military. Many journalists here say they feel increasingly vulnerable. They believe their work is being suppressed. That documenting reality has become a risk in itself. Being a journalist in Gaza is stepping into uncertainty. There is no clear line between danger and safety. And there's no guarantee while you go out reporting that you're coming back alive. His family and colleagues have been telling us that Muhammad was on his way to work. He was on his way to tell a story, but he became part of the story. Again, sadly, another journalist killed, another voice silenced. And since the beginning of this war, we've seen close to 262 Palestinian journalists killed by the Israeli military, and close to 10 of them from the Al Jazeera network. This is the reality of Palestinian journalists. And despite what's going on, we're seeing journalists still continue their work, continue their reporting, documenting Israeli atrocities across the Gaza Strip. What we're seeing here is his family walks beside him. Now, colleagues, friends, people who know him just as a journalist and as a person. Today we're burying a colleague, but his stories and the stories he was trying to tell do not end here. They will live on through those who are still here, still reporting, still trying to make the world see. Hani Mahmoud, Al Jazeera, from Deir al-Balah City, Palestine.
Yeah, okay, very, very sad to hear. Very sad to hear. Prayers and condolences to his family and his friends, loved ones, and colleagues. Absolutely egregious. So they absolutely targeted him. This is him right there. So they say that what happened was he was a correspondent of Al Jazeera. He was killed in an Israeli strike targeting a vehicle in Gaza City. His death has been confirmed across multiple outlets. Israeli officials claimed that he was linked to Hamas. Al Jazeera and Hamas denied those allegations and described him as simply a journalist. You know, like, this is just all so, I just can't believe, really, that the world is not really doing anything about this. Like, people just literally sit here and act as though, you know, these people are not doing what they're doing. There are some people who absolutely flat out deny that it's genocide. But now let me go to this video of Palestinians singing, which lifted my spirits yesterday when I found this video. I'm going to share it with you all, and then we're going to get into the strange stuff that's going on. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Bless their hearts.
I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on.
All right, so let's talk about something else. That just brings my spirits down. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about is this strange weather that we have been having lately. People seeing orbs in the sky, all kinds of strange things, meteors in different states, red skies, flooding in Hawaii, the drought in Colorado. This is all crazy. Okay, this is all crazy. But so we're going to talk about some of these things. So likes up, everyone, please like and share. Let's go to this orb that someone reported. Okay, here we go.
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that, bro? What the fuck is that?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I thought that was strange. And you all remember I showed you videos the other day of these orbs in the sky and how Scott Bledsoe said that apparition told him when there was war with Israel, the United States, and Iran, there would be orbs seen in the sky. Okay, so what's really going on here? I find this all very interesting. Okay, now with that all being said, let's talk about this drought that they're having in Colorado. I mean, they're even on what do you call it? They're on like a water restriction. You know, you're not supposed to be out watering your yard or any of those things. And they're concerned about crops. Okay, here we go.
Every city. Colorado's drought is hitting every city on the Front Range, but not every city is responding in the same way. You know how some cities say, hey, you can only water your lawn on some days while others don't even have restrictions? There's a reason for that. Denver Water imposed restrictions in March. Aurora just imposed them this week. Same with Arvada. But places like Boulder, for example, they're waiting until May 1st to even decide whether to impose restrictions. So how can cities all facing the same drought be on completely different timelines? Because drought, it turns out, is a local problem, even if it's a regional one. Each city has different reservoirs, different water rights, different places that they get their water from. So two cities pulling water from the exact same river can have different outlooks depending on how full their reservoirs are heading into a dry year like this one. So for example, Aurora calculates what it calls months of supply, factoring in reservoir levels, projected demand, a mandatory 1-year emergency reserve. Right now, Aurora says it has 19 months of supply of water, but only because restrictions are in place. If not, it would be less than that. Water managers are already asking the question, what if this drought lasts 2 years, 3 years? The drought is regional, but the solutions are local.
I find that all interesting. I find that all interesting. They said it looks like the water is drying up, but meanwhile, it was flooding in Hawaii.
I'm scared about the harvest, if we're going to have a harvest or not, or if we're going to have a partial harvest.
This year, so started last fall, we're having a very dry year, and our wheat did not come up as good as it should have.
So without the rain allowing the wheat to get established, you have these bare patches in the field, and that is an invitation for weeds, which take up the precious moisture that we do have in the soil.
Top of the hills, we had to go out there and chisel it because the wind started blowing it. And throughout the weeks, the last couple of weeks, we could see our wheat is really starting to struggle. It's turning brown. Normally around November, the wheat will turn brown. It goes into dormancy. And it's been such a warm year, it did not go dormant. Our wheat was green all year long. And my dad, who's 82 years old, has never seen that happen before. So we're not sure what our wheat's going to do.
I think that we'll only have about 50% of our normal yields, and I hope that we do have 50%.
I'd be scared too. What do y'all think about that? Okay, I find it all interesting. 40 million people at risk. The Colorado River is dried up faster than anyone predicted. D Major said not good. I'll tell you, it sure isn't, beloved.
That 40 million Americans depend on is vanishing faster than anyone predicted. 130 monitoring stations across the upper Colorado Basin are reading 0 percentile, a number so low it means 2026 is worse than every single year ever measured. Lake Mead dropped 3.5 feet in a single month. Lake Powell is tracking toward the elevation where its turbines shut down for the first time. Denver has ordered mandatory water restrictions. Ski resorts across the Rockies are closing weeks early. The Ute Mountain Ute tribe has been forced to scale back planting on their reservation because there is not enough water to grow food. And 7 states that share every drop of the Colorado River have already missed their federal deadline to agree on who takes the cuts. But here is the detail that tells the real story. On April 1st, the day Colorado was supposed to record its peak snowpack, federal surveyors fanned out across 64 snow course sites in the Rocky Mountains. These are locations with more than 50 years of continuous measurement. At 60 of the 64 sites, the reading was the lowest ever recorded. At 18 of those sites, the reading was 0. No snow, not low snow, none. The Yampa View snow course in Routt County had never been snowless in April in its entire history. Its previous worst reading was 6.5 inches in 2012. This year, the surveyors found bare dirt. State climatologist Russ Schumacher at Colorado State University said what no one wanted to hear. It is now safe to conclude that this has been the worst year for Colorado snowpack in recorded history. The mountains that are supposed to be filling America's largest reservoirs right now are dry, and no one has agreed on what happens next. To understand the scale of what is unfolding, start in the Colorado Rockies. Every spring, snowpack melts and flows downhill into the Colorado River, which then feeds 2 of the largest reservoirs in the United States. Lake Powell sits behind Glen Canyon Dam near Page, Arizona. Lake Mead sits behind Hoover Dam near Boulder City, Nevada. Together, they supply water and electricity to 7 states stretching from Wyoming to California. 40 million people, 5.5 million acres of farmland, 30 tribal nations. The entire system depends on one thing: snow falling in the Colorado mountains through winter and melting slowly through spring. This year, that snow barely arrived, and what little did fall melted weeks ahead of schedule. Here is what the numbers look like. The statewide snow water equivalent on April 1st had averaged 3.1 inches. The historic median for that date is over 14 inches. The previous worst year on record was 2012, when the reading was 9.1 inches. That means 2026 has less than 40% of the water stored in its snowpack compared to the year that was already the worst in Colorado history. The Bureau of Reclamation Spring Runoff Forecast projects that the Colorado River will deliver just 38% of its normal April through July inflow to Lake Powell. That is not a drought. That is a structural failure of water supply. And this is where it gets worse. The snowpack did not just fail to accumulate. It was destroyed from above and below simultaneously. Colorado's Dust on Snow program, which has been monitoring the Rockies since 2003, documents how desert dust carried by wind lands on snowfields and darkens them. The darker surface absorbs more solar radiation. In normal years, this accelerates melt by 3 to 6 weeks. In 2026, it hit a snowpack that was already at record lows. The warmth did the rest. The winter of 2025 to 2026 was not just dry. It was warm. Whatever snow did accumulate melted before it could build. The snowpack peaked early, collapsed fast, and left the mountains bare in a month when they should have been white from summit to timber.
Okay, what is really going on? You all know that in the Bible, even in the book of Revelation, they talk about strange weather, supernatural weather occurrences, and all of that. Okay, in what they call the last days. So I just find this all very interesting. Let's go to the last clip on this, and then we're going to talk about this flooding in Hawaii. Record low snowpack in Colorado could spell trouble for millions in the U.S. West.
Standing over 9,000 feet up in the mountains where snow should be piled high this time of year. But this year, Colorado just saw its worst snowpack on record. And that's a big deal because mountain snow in Colorado provides fresh water for millions of people around the U.S. and even Mexico.
We didn't receive the precipitation that we normally do, so the low snowpack to begin with, paired with the record high temperatures, led us to a record low snowpack. 18. We're getting something.
Normally, Colorado snowpack peaks in April, but this year it peaked almost a month early in March.
100% of this is no snow. There's no snow on this ground at all, which is very unusual.
Out west, the water has always been scarce. Now, human-caused climate change is making things even drier on the ground and in the air. That means less water replenishes rivers and aquifers.
We still going to have a herd of cows, or are we going to have to sell our cows and start all over again?
There are real consequences for communities out west that are already figuring out how to live with far less this year and are bracing for what could be a tough fire season. I'm standing over 9.
Somebody said, Thomas said data centers in every state. You know, I'm really wondering about that because if you all remember, I told you all weeks ago how much water is used literally every day from these data centers. Okay, and these things are literally everywhere. And they don't really even make a lot of money on it from what I saw in my research. Well, not all of them, but some of these companies aren't even making enough money. Okay, so I don't even know why they're still open. They're spending like billions and then making like $800,000. Okay, that's what I read in a couple of reports weeks ago. So I just find it all very interesting. Now, there was a report that somebody was talking about bad or unhealthy air. Like they said, something's wrong with the air. They say, why is everyone suddenly sick? What if it's not natural? And they were saying something about bad air. I'm like, what are y'all even talking about? I haven't heard anything about this. I have several questions. Judgment by the Most High indeed, says Andrea.
Talked about the strange sickness going around, but what I just found today is wild. Follow and stay to the end because this could be another piece of the puzzle. Right now, thousands of people in Indiana and Arizona are breathing air officially labeled unhealthy. Not bad, not concerning, unhealthy. According to official Air Now tracking, Elkhart, Dunlap.
Hold on. If it's unhealthy, don't you think that that's bad? Don't you think that's concerning?
Jamestown, Payson, and even parts of Phoenix are sitting in the red zone for fine particle pollution, PM 2.5. Now here's where it gets interesting. PM 2.5 isn't dust. It's not pollen. These are microscopic particles, small enough to travel deep into the lungs and in some cases, into the bloodstream. And you know what symptoms PM 2.5 exposure can cause according to the EPA? Coughing, burning throat, headaches, fatigue, difficulty breathing, heart rhythm issues, and something they call irritation responses. Sound familiar? Now, here's the real question, and I'm asking this hypothetically. If these particles can travel into the bloodstream, what happens when it rains? Do these toxins wash into the water? We've talked about the strain.
And that's my thing. Why is he sitting up there saying it's not concerning? That sounds very concerning to me. It sounds absolutely nefarious. Now let's go to this clip about the floods. And also, I think you all should know that we have also been experiencing coronal mass ejections, known as CMEs. How many of you remember, Queen, did you hear about the carbon allowance? No, I didn't, beloved. Listen. Daniel says, Queen, I sent you an article, hold on, this morning about a data center that's being built in North Louisiana in a small town, and they're utterly destroying that town, and some residents are leaving and have left. Let me tell you something. They don't care what goes on in Louisiana. And I'm not talking about the residents. I'm talking about the people in charge. There is a whole place down there in Louisiana I reported on a few years ago. It is called, they call it Cancer Alley. Okay, because they had these chemical plants down there and all that stuff for decades in a highly populated area of Black folk, having birth defects, people getting different types of cancer. So they don't care. They don't care if they bring those data centers down there, they make people sick, or they take up all the water. They don't care, honey. I'm convinced. None of these people do, because for them, these big corporations are only concerned with profit over safety. They don't care about the people. They just don't. The people should move. I'd be moving too if it was coming near me. Just like those 5G towers, which are just basically everywhere. And if you all remember, I showed you years ago, back in 2020, how those towers, if they open the panel where you can see inside, I literally showed you how they have the brainwave patterns listed in there. Why would they do that? Why do they have the brainwave patterns in there? Okay, I have several questions. That's just real crazy to me. Like, it makes me think something else more nefarious is up. And so we have a drought, we have flooding, we have red skies, we have orbs in the sky. Look at this. This is literally bright red. Hold on, beloveds. I'm getting this other clip set.
It's happening again. Even more countries are turning completely red. And remember, the footage you're seeing, 0 filters on it. This footage, for example, is from the Greek island of Crete, where the visibility has got so poor that flights have had to be rerouted. And the same goes for several North African countries like Libya, and it's moving towards others like Egypt too. So what the hell is going on? Well, similar to what we saw in Australia over the weekend, an intense storm has blown through North Africa's Sahara, and it blows all of this red sand into the atmosphere, which clouds the sun and creates this real-life red tint. So while it feels like a fitting time for the apocalypse, it's not. Yeah, today the internet has been sent into a frenzy over this headline. The bullet used to kill Charlie Kirk did not match the rifle allegedly used by suspect Tyler Robinson. Now, this article from Daily Mail has received over 4.
Okay, what the hell is he talking about? Okay, I must not have paid attention to this video. I just thought he was going to talk about a red sky. Okay, now with that all being said, listen. So you all remember, once in the chat, if you all remember me talking about these coronal mass ejections back in 2020, do y'all remember that? And if so, have you all seen any? Have you seen the solar flares? Because we've been having them this year. We absolutely have. Hold on. Let me pull it up. So we've already had like several coronal mass ejections this year already, and we're only in March. Okay, only in March. Now, January the 18th and 19th, there was a powerful X-class solar flare, triggered a massive halo like CME, which is coronal mass ejection, that reached Earth in just 25 hours. Now, this caused a severe G4 geometric storm and an S4 solar radiation storm, which resulted in bright auroras visible as hold on, visible as far south as the Italian Alps and the central United States. Then early February, one specific active region on the sun unleashed more than 50 flares with associated CME activity throughout the rest or the first week of the month. Then March the 18th, 16th through 18th, several CMEs arrived at Earth, increasing geomagnetic activity and creating high potential for aurora viewing in northern regions. Do y'all remember me telling you all about this stuff was going to be happening? And I told you all about the worst one in history, which was in 1859, I think. Now, with that all being said, April 1st through the 4th, a CME from a filament eruption on April 1st had a glancing influence on Earth's magnetic field by April the 4th. And now they say there's ongoing activity. Scientists believe solar cycle 25 reached its peak between late 2024 and early 2026. While activity may begin to slow or decline, the sun remains highly active with frequent sunspots and flares. And so they say they're monitoring it. They say experts from organizations like the NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center and the European Space Agency ESA continue to track and model new eruptions to provide alerts for potential impacts on power grids, okay, satellites, and GPS systems. Now, I want you all to pay attention. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm just telling y'all that my predictions always come true. Didn't I tell y'all in 2020 that we're going to be having these coronal mass ejections, these solar flares, and then this could possibly set us up for a power grid, okay, disaster, all right? Because I explained to you all what happened in 1889, okay? Was it 1859? Hold on, let me pull up my receipts. It was 1859. Okay, so on September the 1st of 1859, for those of you who missed it, okay, British astronomer Richard Carrington witnessed a white light, a solar flare, okay, the first one that was ever recorded. So now the impact was about 17.6 hours after he saw this, the associated coronal mass ejection struck Earth's magnetic field. Now, with that all being said, there were technological chaos was ensued. Now, at the time, the world's most advanced technology was the telegraph. The storm induced so much electricity. Remember, those people got electrocuted? So the storm induced so much electricity into the lines that operators received electric shocks, telegrapher paper caught fire, and some systems continued to send messages even after being disconnected from the batteries. Y'all remember this? This is crazy, right? Okay, then they talked about the global auroras that happened. Brilliant red and green auroras they were visible as far south as the Caribbean, Hawaii, and even Colombia. Okay, and then night turned to day. Okay, the lights were reportedly so bright that gold miners in the Rocky Mountains woke up and started cooking breakfast at 1 a.m. in the morning thinking that it was dawn. Y'all remember that? Okay, I just want y'all to pay attention. Because you see, back when I was telling you all these things and I was saying these things were going to come to pass, I know some people were probably like, yeah, right. That's so far away, we probably won't even remember she said it. But yeah, and let me just tell you all something else too. Okay, let me tell you all something else too. Mr. Midnight said Queen can see the future. Well, I have spiritual gifts. You know, I can astral project. Okay, I do have prophetic abilities, clairvoyance, you know, clairaudience as well. I have had this since I was a kid. But now with that all being said, here's something else that I thought about last night. Okay, my cousin reminded me of this. Do you all remember back in 2020 when I told you all, and oh, somebody kept telling me to talk about that cat story that I didn't tell y'all for 2 days. I'll talk about that too. But so anyway, if you all remember in 2020 when all the stuff was going on with the pandemic, and I was having all those weird dreams. Remember, the first dream I had was about the pandemic. The next one I had was about the venom they were going to give you for the pandemic. And I was telling people that I didn't trust it and all of that. Probably what got me first shadow banned on ScrewTube. Who knows? But anyway, with that all being said, I was having this dream I had this dream at least 3 times. If you all remember, I was telling you all I had these dreams that people were in this building. It looked like it was an old high school, and there was a lot of women in there and children more so. And there was a woman who was pregnant. Okay, and she needed help. She hadn't had anything to eat. And I was trying to sneak out so I could go and get her something to eat or whatever. But I kept having that dream with all these people like they were in a concentration camp. And you all remember I told you, I said, I think they're going to start putting people in FEMA camps. And I said it was a lot of women and children, and even some of the younger people looked like they were pregnant. But I remember specifically this one Hispanic woman was pregnant and she wasn't feeling well, and she hadn't had anything to eat because the food was gross. So my friend, my cousin called me last night and was talking about the concentration camps that they call detention centers, and said, you know what, Queen, when you were talking about this in 2020 and those dreams you were having, that's what you were dreaming. And I was like, you know what? That's exactly what I was dreaming. Because I kept saying, why do I keep having these dreams? And I kept telling y'all about it. So that's what it all was. It's right here and right now. So this is all crazy. But at the end of the day, I always dream these things. Okay, so now let's go to this clip where this guy is talking about, I think something strange happened in Iran with the weather when the sky starts acting strange. Okay, so let's go to this clip. You all need to be paying attention because all of these signs and things, especially in the sky, you know, sometimes the Most High is showing us things, and I already told you all that it does talk about supernatural weather occurrences. Supernatural. That would mean things that aren't normal, things that don't happen on a regular, and that we almost never see. Okay, and then we've had people reporting that there's been meteors in their states. Okay, so let's go to this clip. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share.
Iran knocked out some satellites over the UAE. And right after that, a place that's been dealing with decades of drought suddenly gets thunderstorms. Just like that. Now, satellites are supposed to just observe the weather, right? Track storms, measure temperatures, collect data. But when the skies suddenly change the moment those satellites disappear, people start asking questions. Like, were they really just watching the climate, or were they shaping it? Keeping certain regions dry, keeping pressure on water and crops. And the second those satellites are gone, the storms roll in. But hey, they wouldn't do that, right?
This is just a theory.
Now, that supposedly happened in Iran, if I'm not mistaken. And so he seems to think there's something going on with the satellites. They're not just there, you know, they're not just there for the reason they're telling us, like it's something more nefarious. Basically implying weather manipulation, but we have talked about that extensively too, because I told you all about HAARP. Okay, and I also told you all that I did some research years ago, back when I was in college, in April the 3rd of 1974 in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay, where I grew up, mind you, there were, well, not just in Louisville, Kentucky, there was a tornado there, but there was like over 100 tornadoes in one day. They called it a super outbreak. Okay, a tornado super outbreak. There was tornadoes like in so many different states in one day. Now, you know, that's crazy. And I absolutely believe that was HAARP. And that's what a lot of people said years after they found out about HAARP. But not only that, out of all those tornadoes, I believe it was about 49 of them that were killer tornadoes. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. They absolutely manipulate the weather. I don't care what they say. They can sit there and say they don't or whatever. And it has also been said that NASA has a cloud making machine. Now, why would you be making clouds? Y'all don't find that suspicious? And also, I think it's important to note that supposedly another scientist came up missing. And I think I'm trying to almost figuring out why these scientists may be coming up missing. Okay, because remember, I told you there were 8 of them. So now here's what came in today. List of dead or missing scientists suspicious as 9th case is raised. So now there's 9 of them. A Daily Mail report has highlighted that Michael David Hicks, a longtime NASA jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, that's what they call it, scientists involved in asteroid and comet research died in 2023 with no public cause of death disclosed, marking the 9th case in a growing list of deaths or disappearances of U.S. experts in advanced space defense and nuclear fields in recent years. Okay, so he died in 2023. So why are they bringing this up 3 years later? Because they think that now, with what we have at hand presently, with these 8 people missing and some dead, they're thinking that maybe this was something suspicious too, because there was no public cause of death disclosed. I find that interesting, but hold on. Let's see why this matters. Let's see why this matters. They say authorities have not established any concrete connection among the cases, and there have been no public allegations of foul play in Hicks's death. But some lawmakers have called for closer scrutiny as high-profile incidents from a retired Air Force general's disappearance to a leading astrophysicist killing drew attention. Now, they say that Hicks was 59 years old, worked at JPL from 1998 to 2022, and contributed to more than 80 scientific papers, including roles on NASA's Deep Space One mission and the DART, D-A-R-T, Asteroid Deflection Project before his death on July the 30th of 2023. Now, the report said his cause of death was not publicly disclosed and that it found no record of an autopsy. The Daily Mail's report placed Hicks among a growing number of experts linked to advanced research whose cases have drawn attention. So they have a timeline. Let's take a look here. I find this all interesting. So they report that July the 4th of 2024, Frank Mywald, a NASA JPL researcher, died in Los Angeles at the age of 61 with no cause of death disclosed. May the 4th of 2025, Anthony Chavez, a former Los Alamos National Laboratory employee who vanished. Yeah, something's definitely going on here. June the 22nd of 2025, just a month later, Monica Reza, a NASA scientist who went missing during a hike in the Los Angeles National Forest, reportedly disappearing just yards from others in her groups. Let me tell y'all something. I'm going to tell y'all right now, I don't know what in the world is going on with these national forests, these national parks. People really be coming up missing there. Like, it could be a group of people, whoever's in the back, y'all can turn around and that person is nowhere to be seen. Okay, I've talked to y'all about that before. We need to talk about that. Do y'all want me to talk about that tomorrow? Once in the chat, if you all want me to talk about these strange disappearances and these national parks. Because this is very interesting. Okay, so anyway, let's continue. Now, with that all being said, June the 26th of 2025, okay, that was Monica Reza, the one that went missing in the park or the forest. And then June the 26th, just days later of 2025, Melissa Casillas, a Los Alamos administrative assistant who disappeared from her residence. Her mobile devices had been wiped. Now, you know that's really suspicious. Wiped? Yeah, somebody definitely did something. December the 12th of 2025, Jason Thomas, a Novartis researcher who went missing, prompting a search that ended when his body was recovered from a lake on March the 17th of 2026. Do you all remember the 32-year-old Black scientist who worked at the CDC, Timothy Cunningham, who was found drowned in the Chattahoochee River? Okay, y'all remember that when I reported that to y'all? He worked here at the CDC in Georgia. He's the one who exposed the flu epidemic. I think it was 2018 when he said that the flu shot was giving people, let me just be quiet because I don't want ScrewTube trying to say medical misinformation, but y'all know what I'm talking about. He was talking about that flu shot and about people, not feeling good. Okay. So anyway, yeah, he came up dead and they said that he did it to himself. Now, there was no note or anything left that I can recall. And his, I think his phone and stuff was left at home, but it was just real suspicious. Why would that man, 32 years old, who had everything going for himself, didn't seem to have been going through a depression or anything according to people who knew him, but all of a sudden he's just going to go jump in a river? Yeah, that was definitely suspicious. I think it was because he was blowing the whistle on some things. That's just my opinion. Now, December the 13th, or that might be the 15th. I don't have on my glasses. I think it's the 15th of 2025. Nuno Loureiro, the head of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center, was fatally attacked in his home in Brooklyn, Massachusetts. February the 16th, 2026, Carl Grillmar, an astrophysicist who was shot on his front porch during the early morning. Some people are trying to kill them. Y'all hear this? Now, this man was attacked in his home, and then somebody shot the other one on his porch. A couple of months later, then February the 27th, on my birthday, 2026, William Neal McCausland, that's the general, retired Air Force general, who left his New Mexico home and has not been seen since. Now, what is going on here? I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to tell you what I think is going on here. I'm going to tell you what I think is going on here. Now, this is just a theory, but I have a sneaky suspicion that these people have been taken up out of here because of Project Bluebeam. You see, these people were like NASA scientists, astrophysicists, and things like that. People who know about space, astronomy, the stars, and all of these things, UFOs. At the end of the day, if there's a fake alien invasion, who would know that it was fake? They would. These people would know. And I already told you all that they're trying to tell us something. They're trying to put it all out here. This is why they keep talking about aliens. Okay, this is why they asked President Obama about it. This is why Trump's talking about releasing the files or whatever he's talking about. And I'm like, first of all, he tried to say that Obama was giving out classified information. Now he wants to jump on the bandwagon and all of a sudden wants to talk about UFOs. Okay, I find it interesting. So, with that being said, Terry Hint says, Queen, do you think CERN too? What about CERN, beloved? I think CERN's nefarious. I think they use it to open portals to raise malevolent spirits and energy. But at the end of the day, I think that possibly these people have gone missing or dead, whatever may have happened to them, sadly. But I think this has something to do with Project Bluebeam or this fake alien invasion that I do feel is coming. And remember, they keep using the word disclosure. They have a movie coming out this summer called Day of Disclosure, which we can tell from the trailer that I showed you is clearly about UFO activity. So what is going on here? They're prepping us. I want y'all to pay attention. Predictive programming is what it is. They're prepping us for what's about to go down. And like I said, this alien invasion is going to be fake. Okay? It's going to be fake. All right, I want y'all to pay attention. Another thing is, like I told you all, when J.D. Vance came out and said that the aliens, they weren't aliens, they're demons. No. I think that he said they're demons because me and Lisa Cabrera were talking one day about it. And when she said that, I said, you know what? That makes a whole lot of sense. Maybe he said they're demons because he knows that they're black. Okay? Maybe he said they're demons because he knows that those extraterrestrials are black. We know they're black. We've heard astronauts say it. We've seen a group of school kids from like back in the days said it. These kids over in Africa, and these were white kids in Africa. But nonetheless, they said they were black. And you all heard the audio when I played it for you. So they're prepping us for this fake invasion. That's what I think. And I believe the reason they're doing the whole fake invasion is so that when the real extraterrestrials come here who look like us, everyone will be afraid of them. Okay, that's what I think. I'm not going to be afraid of them because I've been dreaming about their arrival since I was a kid. Let's not forget, I told you all that I had reoccurring dreams, literally had reoccurring dreams about them even till this day. Not as often now, but since I was a child, I've always dreamt about the spacecraft coming, me walking home. It's at night. They're shining down a light on me like a spotlight, hovering over me, and they're speaking to me telepathically and telling me it's time to go. It's time to come home. We came to get you. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go. And I start running, and they're just hovering over me, following me. And I'm trying to hide in bushes and all of that. Okay, I find it all interesting. And if you all remember, my former moderator, Buginis, told me that he had a dream that, and I had never told him that I had this recurring dream, never had discussed it. But Buginas told me one time, as a matter of fact, that's what made me tell you all about it. Because Buginas literally had told me that he had a dream that aliens came for me and they were in a spacecraft. There was like 2 or 3 of them. And he said that when they landed and told me they were there to get me, I took off running, jumped in their own spacecraft in one of them and took off flying. They jumped in the other 2 and were chasing me through the skies. And he said he's standing there looking up and everybody's looking up and he's asking himself, how the hell does Queen know how to drive a spacecraft? Do y'all remember that? Absolutely nefarious. Okay, Terry Henson, I remember that story quick. I know y'all think I'm crazy when I tell some of these stories, but I promise you they're all true. Okay? So now, before I forget, I'm about to get out of here too, just so y'all know. But before I forget, I'm going to show one more video, and that's about this a UFO that someone claims to have seen or whatever. But hold on, what is this? Okay, so let's talk about the cat. Because somebody kept asking me about it. I can't remember who. Okay, so here's what happened. I was living in this house one time, and so I went to bed. And one thing about me is because I think it's because I'm so spiritually in tune. You know, it's like I feel like my spirit protects me when I'm asleep. You know how someone can come into your room and you might be a person who sleeps hard and you don't even hear them come and they can come in and leave out? No. If anybody comes in my room, if anything happens or whatever, I instantly wake up. Instantly. I've always been like that. And I'm very alert. Some people wake up groggy. They're not in their right mind. They have to take a couple of minutes or seconds to get it together. I'm instantly always alert. So I was in the bed asleep. And instantly something told me to wake up. So I woke up and I sat up. There was 2 shadowy figures, clearly demons. Okay, clearly demons. 2 shadowy figures standing like right across from my bed. And I looked at them and they looked at me. And so I grabbed the Bible because I always sleep the Bible next to my bed. And I started reading the 91st Psalm, right? And demanding that they get out. Now, y'all know I literally know how to perform an exorcism if need be. But with that, you know, I used to be an ordained minister. But anyway, so with that being said, I started reading the 91st Psalm, right? And so they took off running into my bathroom, into my walk-in closet. And then so I went after them, still reading the Bible, because I don't fear these things. You cannot fear them. That gives them more power and strength. So as I went into the closet where I saw them go when they ran, they had disappeared. But all of a sudden, they must have been shapeshifters because all of a sudden there was a huge black cat. This cat was huge, like a pig. That's how big it was. It was a big black cat, right? And it like growled at me or whatever, and then it just disappeared. It just disappeared. Yep. True story. Then there was another time in that same house that I was asleep. I fell asleep on the couch watching TV and I woke up around 3 o'clock in the morning. And so when I woke up, I could hear the TV playing. And when I looked at the screen, I had fallen asleep watching the ID channel. As a matter of fact, this was probably like 15 years ago, but I had fallen asleep watching the ID channel, True Crime. And when I woke up, I could hear the audio playing, and the audio was the show or the ID channel. But what was on the screen was not what was on the ID channel. There was like a red mist covering the screen. And in the left upper corner of the screen, there was an evil face. It was a red face. It was clearly a demon. A red face. It had like a black goatee, glowing yellow eyes, and long black hair. Like the way Snoop Dogg used to wear his hair back in the day when he had the perms. Just like that. And it was looking at me with an evil grin. Just looking right at me. And I sat up and I was looking back at it and it was looking at me. And so that all being said, then I took the remote and clicked the TV and then it just disappeared. I wanted to see if it would leave if I changed the channel or whatever. But yeah, absolutely true story. So with that all being said, you know, when I have talked to spiritual people like myself, and you know, I talk to Sophia Stewart a lot. You all know Sophia Stewart. She's been on here. She's a friend to the show. She's the lady that wrote The Matrix. Okay, the third eye is what she called it, and the Terminator. And she's a shaman, okay, like myself. And so with that all being said, when I talk to people that are spiritual about these things, they will very often tell me that spiritual people are attacked. Sometimes we'll be attacked by malevolent entities. Because you see, here's the thing. These things are attracted to you when you know and have spiritual gifts. They're attracted to you because it's like you're in between worlds. It's like you're in between realms. Like you can step into other dimensions. I can astral travel, okay? I have lucid dreams. I can remote view, which remote viewing and astral travel is all the same thing. Okay. Now, with that all being said, these things will attack you. As a matter of fact, one time years ago, when I was like in my 20s, and I think I told you all the story, I went into this metaphysical store. And as soon as I walked in, this lady comes up to me, this tall lady. She was like Amazon. She was tall and beautiful. She had this head wrap on, and her name was Sister Tanya. She walked up to me as people are coming in the door. She walks up to me out of everybody, and she looks right at me, and she says, "You're a psychic, or you're prophetic." And she said, "I know you are because I am too." And she said, "Where are your people from?" And I told her my people are from Georgia, but I was raised in Kentucky. She said, "No, no, no, no. I'm talking about your tribe." She said, "Because I see the spirit of the Cherokee shaman all around you." And I said, "That's amazing because I am Cherokee." My grandmother told me that when I was a kid. Yeah, my mother never told me that. My grandmother did. Pay attention to the elders because your grandparents, let me tell y'all something. When y'all have grandmothers and grandfathers who tell you all that you're natives, believe them. And some Black people don't even think that makes sense. But absolutely, we're indigenous to these lands. Anyway, that all being said, I told her that my ancestry was Cherokee. And so she told me she could literally see the shaman all around me. And I knew she wasn't lying because I see it in my dreams. If you all remember that time that I told you all that somebody, I'm not going to call their name, but y'all know who, I was exposing this YouTuber, okay? And they know voodoo, roots is what they call it. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. I told you all that I feel I saw their mother-in-law, whom I never had seen their mother-in-law until my dream. But I knew it was her when I woke up. My spirit told me. And so then when somebody else was exposing him and showed the pictures of that person's mother-in-law, that's the lady that was in my dream. And I told you all, if you all remember, I told you all, this person's trying to put roots on me. They're trying to put some type of voodoo or something on me, but it's not going to work because I'm protected by the ancestors. If you all remember, before I told you all about that, a few months prior, I told you all that I had a dream that my shaman ancestors came to me. It was a lucid dream, and I was in a field, and they had my arms outstretched, and they were praying over me in the Cherokee language, and they put feathers in my hair, shell beads around my neck, and they were burning sage, and they were doing a smudging ritual on me. Okay, to cleanse my energy and to realign my chakras. And they were telling me to go forward, keep speaking the truth. You will be protected. Do not stray from the path, no matter what anyone says. And so I did that. So I was protected. So they were trying to do all that stuff. And y'all remember I told you also that Wig was trying to do something to me. Wig, because Wig knows all about the occult stuff. Let's not forget that man that was doing the webinars with her has an occult college. Y'all remember that? Remember when I was talking trash about him and somebody hopped in my chat while I was on live and y'all saw it. Some of y'all screenshot and sent it to me. They told me I'm going to see demons tonight. They said, you're going to see demons tonight. And I told them, honey, I'm not afraid of demons. Demons should be afraid of me. Do y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? Okay. And so that all being said, at the end of the day, I know who I am. That's why they can't mess with me. And also, this is why you will find yourself under attack because, like I said, spiritual people, and when you have spiritual gifts, these things are attracted to you. And so that lady that I met that day, Sister Tanya, I told her because she asked me if I ever had spiritual attacks. And I said, yes. And I told her about the malevolent spirits that I would see, but I would also see good spirits. And then she gave me this book. And some of you even bought that book. She gave me this book. It's called The Psychic Book of Self-Defense. It was written by a psychic in 1933. Her name is Dion Fortune. And that book tells you how to protect yourself from spiritual attacks. Because when you are somebody, like I said, who has spiritual gifts, you will be attacked. Yes, Wig number one. Exactly. Y'all know who Wig one is, okay? Wig one was trying to do voodoo or something on me. Somebody in the chat had just told me, one of her minions had just told me the day before, oh, you're going to see demons tonight. I'm not scared of demons. Get out of here. And I told you all, I was having this dream. I didn't even know if it was really even a dream. It's like I was awake, almost like in a trance, but I was looking at my TV and she was in my TV screen. And she was yelling at me and hitting her gavel. Now I could hear the gavel banging as she was hitting it, but I couldn't hear a word that was coming out of her mouth. But she was saying something like she was cursing me and saying something or whatever. I couldn't hear any of her words, but I could hear that gavel. So I just thought that was all strange. But after I came on live and told y'all about it, that stuff didn't happen again because they knew that I knew that they were what they were doing. Especially the guy whose mother-in-law. I bet he was thinking, how in the hell does she know that? Yeah, because I'm spiritually protected. So please miss me with it. Okay. With that all being said, we the people said Queen is flowing, y'all. Thank you, beloved. Okay, so now with that all being said, listen, I'm about to be out of here. So before I go, let's have this last clip. Now, this is about a UFO. Hold on, let me see what this is. Okay, it says UFO disclosure in 72 hours. April 8th of 2026. I didn't watch this. I just saw it said UFO disclosure and sent it to my email. So let's see what he's talking about. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Here we go.
Need to hear this. Dr. Stephen Greer just launched a brand new podcast today on January 15th, and trust me, the timing is no coincidence. He revealed that within the next 72 hours or so, we're about to see a massive wave of UFO and UAP disclosures. Think about it. Why the urgency? Why now? What's about to drop in the next 3 days that could change the way we see the world? If you're as curious as I am, or even just as skeptical, this is our moment to tune in. Let's stay informed. Let's be prepared. And let's figure this out together. Here's just a taste of what he said on his podcast. Check it out.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Stephen Greer, and this is the first episode of our podcast, the Dr. Stephen Greer podcast. And the reason we're starting this podcast now, rather emergently here today, is because we have a group of people who are in the process in the next 72 hours or so who will be coming forward with a great deal of information and evidence related to the UFO and NHI or extraterrestrial issue. And I think the public is going to need to have a source of perspective and context and analysis to go to.
So hit the pause on everything else. Go check out Greer's Need to Hear This.
Isn't that all very interesting? Don't you? Like they're doing a whole lot of talk about UFOs all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm definitely going to check out his podcast and see what he has to say about all of this. But Lieutenant Mux was said, Wiggs got them crazy fingernails and she's calling someone else a demon. No, here's what's crazy. Do you all remember that time when I was exposing her and somebody sent me her webinar and I showed it to you all? And she was sitting there talking about this thing came into her house in the middle of the night. She said it was an angel, mind you. She said this angel was in her house in the middle of the night and it was in the kitchen. And when she walked in there because she heard a noise and she said it was black and it had red eyes. And she said that she was trying to stab it with a knife because she was scared of it and the knife kept going through it or whatever. Like, girl, that was definitely not an angel. And if it was an angel, why would you have been afraid of it and trying to stab it? Like, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. And then she started trying to say she was prophetic. Y'all remember that? She hasn't predicted anything. Do y'all remember? She literally said something that I had already said, went on her live and said, y'all remember I predicted that? Girl, you're not predicting anything. And I said, if she was so good at predicting stuff, why the hell didn't she predict that she was going to go to prison for bank fraud, wire fraud, and mortgage fraud before she went? Okay, please, make it all make sense. I am so through. I am so through. With that all being said, with that all being said, listen, I've always been prophetic, like I told you all. And let me say this too. You know, it's sometimes a gift and a curse because sometimes, you know, I can read people's energy, and you all know that I used to do the spiritual readings. If you all remember Auntie Leah, you all remember Auntie Leah who used to be in the chat? Auntie Leah, she's Jaguar Rights moderator. I think. But anyway, she used to be in my chat all the time. Now, I did a session with her, and I told her, and I didn't want to tell her this, but it was the truth. But I told her that someone very close to her was very, very sick. They were like in the last stages, and they're going to be leaving here in about 2 months. And I told her, I said, it's probably like your mother, you know, or someone that's like a mother to you. And she said that it was. And do you all remember when she came in here in the chat? And she said that her mother had died. Do y'all remember that? And she said that I told her that. I did tell her that. And that's why I don't do those readings anymore, because I don't like to tell people stuff like that. I did not want to tell her that, but I couldn't tell her a lie. Red to say he remembers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't use tarot cards, just for anybody who's wondering. Okay, I don't use tarot cards. Never have. Now, with that all being said, listen, I'm out of here. Okay. I just want to tell you all, I love you all to life. Thank you all for tuning in. I will be back in the morning with your morning wake-up call. All right. Until then, beloveds, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got